Good day there once again, viewers. This is your mate Kamikaze78 here, coming to you guys with some more Planetside 2 content. Today guys, I want to have a chat about situational awareness. Now, situational awareness is one of those things that doesn't really help out too much with straight 1v1 fighting capabilities. No, it's more about improving your understanding of the battlefield, the flow of the battle, and ensuring that you're aware of the things that are actually happening around you and not just directly in front of you. You can spend all day improving your aim and accuracy to be the best shooter on Araxis, sporting a KD and a headshot ratio that puts you in the territory of looking suspicious as all hell. But that won't mean squat if you can't make sense of what's actually going on around you. And situational awareness is something that comes more naturally to some over others, there's no denying that. In games like Planetside 2, you can often see clips of content creators murdering an entire platoon's worth of players uncontested before someone even bats an eye that they're there doing so. Mulcast in particular is a good example. He will often post clips that even make me say, now, where are those kinds of players when I'm playing? I do that and I instantly have 5 guys laser beam me like an organised group of Terminators. But alongside Mulcast's aggressive gameplay nature, his movement, his accuracy, all that stuff, it also comes down to the situational awareness of the targets that he's killing. And it's those moments of gameplay where you can destroy an entire group of players that proves my point about how important situational awareness is in this moment-to-moment gameplay. It's a prime example of players not using the audio or visual cues that the game provides that players can use to identify Mulcast as the primary threat in that exact situation. My point here is that if one person were to turn around and counter-engage Mulcast in the murder sprees that he does go on, those clips that he gets may be a bit shorter and therefore their impact on the battlefield at hand might be to a lesser extent. So, what do we need to consider when it comes to situational awareness in Planetside 2? Well, this is a big game. When you have potentially up to hundreds of players all fighting on one territory, there's going to be a lot happening. You are given a lot of information in an attempt to help you to make sense of what's going on around you, with each faction having their own voice lines, their own weapon sounds, their cloaking sounds even, and in addition you have a minimap and a 3D spotting mechanic that provides a ton of visual aid as well. Now that's all well and good, but because of the pure scale of Planetside, it's incredibly easy to write off all of this information as just noise. There's just so much information to process, it can be overwhelming. It would be easier just to entirely focus on the one thing that we're trying to immediately kill or do, and if we do that well, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But that's what we like to call tunnel vision, and something that an enemy player will exploit with the intent of turning your head into cert points if you let them. So the very first thing you should be looking to do as a player to improve your situational awareness in game is take all the information that the game is providing you and then isolate the important stuff from just the background noise that is being provided from the battle. Picking out, for example, the cloaker that's just uncloaked from behind you and has every intent of stabbing you, or better yet, hearing their humming knife as they hide in waiting to strike and kill them before they even have a chance to strike. Or taking note that a teammate has died alongside you and using your minimap/audio to try and identify where that deadly blow just came from. These are just examples of how you can isolate important information from the noise of the battlefield to identify the threat that is of greatest concern to you at that point in time. And sometimes that threat could very well come in the form of a friendly vehicle that will run you over if you don't look both ways before crossing the road. All you have to do here is take into consideration what the potential threats are to you at that moment in time, and then use key audio sources and your minimap to get an idea of the action happening around you and how likely it is that you're going to encounter those threats. Hell, you could very well spot a radar signature that is coming from an enemy player among the large group of allies that you're with. That would be a good example of looking through the noise of the battlefield to identify a prominent threat. It's also important to not tunnel vision on a particular target that you're already engaging if another one emerges that poses a stronger threat. Let me paint a picture here for you. You're running a Vanguard and you see an enemy harasser. You happen to score a few hits on him and you get him down to a very low amount of HP. Maybe you've got him on fire even. One more shot and he's heading to the scrapyard. But oh no, an enemy prowler rocks up as well. At that point in time, it's time to reevaluate the risk of the situation, and who of those two enemies holds the greatest risk to you. Now sure, killing that harasser would be a solid start, but in the long term, you may need to prioritize the prowler in order to see yourself living long enough to finish off that harasser in the first place. Or maybe that harasser has a clean shot on your rear armor, and therefore he's the greater threat. It's all about taking all of the information, putting it in piece by piece, and working out how you're going to deal with it. This is actually something I see Commander Sirius being very good at in the grand scheme of things. Every time he's on an awesome flank and an enemy player starts to engage him to counter his flank, he immediately prioritizes them even after he's started shooting at another target, because they are the ones now that are the immediate threat. It's all about ensuring that you maintain some level of awareness for the threats you're facing. The same goes for hunting down a low health target that is on the run. Sure, if you chase them down you might be able to finish them off, but you run the risk of leaving a superior position and most likely getting yourself killed out in the open. These are the things you must consider. And that sort of segues us on nicely to discussing situations outside of moment-to-moment engagements. You know, there's more to being situationally aware on the battlefield. There's predictively identifying the potential threats that can engage you. There's also the element of situational awareness that comes down to how you position yourself and how you move on the battlefield. What I mean by that is that if you move around on the battlefield from position to position, you need to consider the threats that may engage you at any given point in time. Is there a new position that a light assault can flank you from? Can tanks shell your position from that distance? Is air now an issue that you need to consider? Or are there already allied forces occupying those potential flanks and spaces to cover you? These are things you must consider to avoid being taken by surprise at all possible. And it comes down to just maintaining an idea of what's happening around you periodically. You know, when you're reloading, for an example, don't just sit there staring into space as you wait for the weapon reload animation to go. Actually spend the time scanning the area around you and take note of where your potential threats will come from. Being situationally aware from a reactive perspective is all really well and good, but being able to be situationally aware about potential threats before they even happen is taking it to the next level and will therefore take your survivability to the next level. By always expecting the unexpected, especially in a sandbox game like this, where the possibilities are truly endless, it's a really big step forward in the right direction. In addition, when you're moving to new locations that you plan to hold, you need to consider the path that will get you there. Is it a perilous journey? Where are the main threats coming from? If you just run through the open as the crow flies, then you will make yourself a ridiculously easy target to hit that will quickly have the biostructure of Swiss cheese. If you can identify at least one way to put hard cover between you and those primary threats, you'll instantly be better off. This is just again another example of how to be situationally aware on the battlefield. Situational awareness also comes in the most basic forms of knowing if you have backup or not for a push. If you're in an armor column, do you have the forces required to take on the enemy armor that's just emerged? Is your accompanying repair sunderer still alive and supporting you? As a combat medic, are you aware of the allies that are downed and need revives? Is it safe for you to revive them, or do you need to clear an area first? Can you clear the area in the first place? If you're a max suit, do you still have engineer support with you, or do you need to play a bit more reservedly to avoid getting cut off from your allies and being overwhelmed? It's once again, guys, taking all of the information that comes from this game, both from a visual and audio perspective, and turning that into bite-sized pieces of information that will help you identify what you should be doing on the battlefield. There's a lot being thrown at you all at once when you get into this game for the first time, and I think that's why a lot of players choose to not be as situationally aware as others and just focus on one thing at a time. This is understandable. My one final tip for getting into Planetside 2 and becoming more situationally aware about the battlefield around you as it evolves is just taking information in bite-sized pieces. Start off by working out what different weapons for different factions sound like and how you can use those as indicators as to an enemy flanking your position. Then work out what enemy cloaking sounds like and how to pick them out in a fight. The next step may be integrating some more periodic checking of the environment around you into your gameplay, keeping constant tabs on what's happening and what flanks you could potentially exploit or what flanks the enemy could potentially looking at exploiting as well. And guys, with all that that said, that kind of wraps up everything I wanted to talk about when it comes to situational awareness. It's one of those things that we could really spend a lot of time talking about and discussing the theory behind and stuff like that, but in all honesty, I think I've mentioned everything I can without getting too deep into it. And in all honesty, becoming more situationally aware in Planetside 2 is really going to come down to practice. It's like improving your aim. You're just going to have to practice learning what different things sound like, what different things look like, and how to extract that information in a way that works best for you. We're all going to have our different ways of being situationally aware on the battlefield, and it's just going to be now a matter of you guys taking some base level theory around it and sort of improving your gameplay from there. If you guys enjoyed today's video, consider backing the like button. It goes a long way to help out with, you know, the YouTube algorithm and satisfying the gods that dictate what it does, so on and so forth. In addition, if you enjoyed the video and you're new here, consider backing the subscribe button whilst you're at it. It turns out the majority of my viewers are actually non-subscribers, so yeah, bit of trivia for you guys there as well. If you also want to support the channel monetarily, you can choose to locate the join button down below and help us out in that way as well, guys. It helps to produce more consistent content and content of a higher grade for you guys as well, and you know, it goes a long way in helping me out on this journey that we're on together. Anyway guys, once again, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Peace out, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Take care guys, have a good one.